Hello, guys. So today let's talk about our friend Damien. I was asked in the comments, is Damien good? Is Damien bad? And should I replace Lucid for Damien? So first of all, currently, I would say Lucid is better unless you're facing a light back. And the thing is, you can't really judge Damien yet because he doesn't have his E. So we're just going to start by looking at Damien in detail, and then we're going to start talking about which one's better and how his E could actually make him good, knowing the few rules that BB uses when they make an EE. So first of all, Damien's a dark striker. He's forward left. A pretty basic stats. Of course, at his EE, they will be increased. So there's no point at even considering looking at them and considering that they're final. E also increases crit rate, so this is not really valuable yet. But having 265 power isn't that bad of a deal. Again, this is looked at level 62, so I mean, don't feel bad about it. Um, so this is also kind of like a racist Vonchi Ace Burst. Increase the max life by 56% of Dark players and increase the damage dealt to Ardor players by 21%. If you're facing a mono Ardor and you really want to kill them, you can run this. I mean, it would be honestly funny to watch and they would just be squirming and dying. So it's not a bad deal, honestly, just pretty cool. But in most comps, unless you're facing Ardor players, you shouldn't be running this. Again, Damien is mostly run in mono dark, as most dark players are, so this is why this makes sense. Now, active shot, increase attack power by 120% and penetration by 25. We can already speculate it's going to go to 150 and at least 30%. So there shouldn't be any major big deal there. We kind of all await what's going to happen. So that's not a problem right there. That's a very nice active. Some strikers don't even have active that good. It does cost a 1.5 spirit bar and it's 12 minutes. The cooldown will not change. So I'm going to say active even at E will be very respectable and pretty nice. Now this is one of the reasons why I was mentioning light backs. Increase critical rate and inflicted damage on light players by 25% with an attack. So with an attack, that does count shot, and that means on top of it, if he tries to steal, he still has that increase. So you know, for you COT people, that means he's still valuable for some funky-ass comps. I can think of like 15 right now, but that's not the point. Conclusion is also, you can see there's a number 2 right here, who means this is not the skill that's going to be changed. So we know right now this skill is basically here to stay. This skill is going to be buffed. So this is, one of these two is going to change, and hopefully, in my opinion, I would say Shadow Theft, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Shadow Theft is a bit hard to calculate though, so I'm not going to give the exact formula, but increase attack power by 25% of the attack power of enemies within the position of a shot. Basically, as you know, we're always in 4 or 5-man backs, we're counting the goalkeeper in there. So this is very good because it takes a percentage of their dribble value. The best example to compare this to is Curl with his new kind of bullshit stuff. So that means that when he shoots, he's going to be taking their power away and using it on the shot damage. Again, kind of complicated on how it's okay. Just test it out for yourself. It's actually pretty good. And endgame and in COD, this will actually have a lot of value. So I'm going to say right there, that is a great skill. Especially it means that when he's low level or even high level, he's going to be able to abuse this skill because higher level you go, more damage they have. And lower level, you don't have damage, but you're stealing some, so they don't have the survival. So it's a really good skill. And then we have Dark Object. Decrease the incoming damage by 25% and increase the critical rate by 15% when holding the ball. So sadly, I don't think Shadow Theft is going to be increased just because the skill is actually very powerful. They might add a second part to the skill who could also work, or they might just buff this one. At the same time, increasing the DR for a striker is not that great, but increasing critical rate will be pretty nice. He doesn't have any critical damage abilities, so it's not that big a deal. So if you do get critical damage in the stones, there is a lot of value. Especially his slots have the Dragon Bone possibility, who in my eyes is the best unique for him. And after I explain the build, it will start making more sense why you would want some critical rates. Now looking at the chains, I would say, well, the Nemesis chains are kind of obvious. Like I said, he's good against the light people. Literally, Nemesis, the only two light goalkeepers. So yeah, we can tell he was triggered at some point. Rival and Dark, I'm going to say no one's going to be using Geralt. If you're using him, you're not using Veto's. Malcolm's a good option depending on what the hell you're doing. And Jeet can be used endgame. Also Dale, depends what exactly you're running and how many legends you got mid. So this is pretty good. Again, he's more meant for mono dark, but can be used in rainbows. Affection, well, no, those are just trash. But I'm gonna point out though, Vilkia's there. Again, a little hint towards COT and COD right there again. So I'm saying he's gonna have a lot of potential back there too. Now looking at the stone slot, he basically has some great slots. As you know, this slot will always remain dark, so there's no point in me telling you that you could have re-rolled it. But these slots are perfect. There's no need to ever re-roll them. So the Wormwind one, you're just going to throw in the Dragon's Bone. That's more penetration. He has some in his active. On top of it, if you can put a Mono Dark Ace, especially Armel on him, he can just be at 100%, who's going to be magical. And if not, if you're Dark Ardor, who's kind of the person who requested this video, if you have a Jiho back and you put this and the base active shot, he'll be pretty damn close. Work on the stone passives, and you can still achieve that magical number. So you're not really going to be losing anything, who's pretty cool. Now, Ardor, I don't think I need to teach you that's going to be Ardor critical damage, and it's the same for the Prime slot because it's a striker and we're in the damage increase meta. For the Dark slot, I'm actually going to say this one is really up to you. In my opinion, I would either put penetration or dribble just to increase the damage, but you can even put speed if you feel that's what you want to go for. Just look for the one with the nicest subs. If you find anything with like 12% penetration, it's a dribble stone. Just go to hell for it. I mean, I even have a hype stone who has that on layup. Don't ask how the hell that happened. So that's pretty much the stone setup. If I were to decide a comp for him, I mean, the meta comp, of course, for a dark player would be Balteon, Armel, Damien. I mean, two of them don't have EEs and are already outranking some people with EE, and that is without any questions. If you don't have Balteon, though, throwing in Shura would also be very good just because she gives an 80% critical rate upgrade. That's counting the decrease and the increase. It's kind of funky, but it's around 80%. Plus, she has some very good pass effects, some reflex. Not bad. If you're running Ardor Dark, you're going to be replacing the middle one by Elaine, who's also pretty nice. She's going to give him more critical rate. And with the stones, he should be around 100%, so that means it's going to double his damage. But even if he doesn't crit, it's still going to be some nice buffs. There's going to be some damage increase and a decent amount of penetration. So he's kind of using everything possible in a kit who's going to be able to counter kind of everything. And his one weakness, who should have been light, is not a weakness because it activates a chain and he counters the fact that they're light. The only weakness, of course, is going to be, well, on top of that, there's going to be Cheetos' line buff. So there's still a little bit of a decrease, but it's not going to be that 25% plus another 30%. And you're like, oh my God, I'm not even hitting anymore, that a certain person in my club is having. I know it kind of sucks. But again, I'm saying at his EE, he's going to be very valuable. But currently, he's good but not yet broken, as in the great art of BB. So I think this explains kind of the principle. He is now classic, so he is scoutable if you have any questions. Now, should he be used over Lucid? I'm going to say this honestly depends what legends you have and what comp you're having. I would say Damien would tend to work better in a mono dark or when you're trying to fight a light striker above Lucid. But Lucid, if you have Balteon, if you have a second passer, Lucid will tend to be a bit better currently. So it's really going to be dependent on what exactly you're running. They're both pretty good, and Damien is going to get an EE. But currently, I would say Lucid does outrank him if you're not looking at a light back. Light back, I'm going to say more kind of Damien. So I hope this kind of helps the person who was asking this out. And again, if anyone has questions, reviews, or something that they would like for me to do, just write a comment in the description. Have a good day, guys.